Alright guys, in today's video I'm going to try to make this piece of foam here that I have a 1937 coupe, Chevy coupe, carved out in it. So somebody reached out to me and asked me if I could make this for them. So I gave them a price and I didn't know if it was going to work or not. So today is really a test. And I hope it works because then I don't have to do it again. But this design has very, very small spots in it where I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get the foam, the plaster into the foam. So I did this a couple times. I coated it like 3 times to really try and get the plaster inside of the spots. So we're going to see. So right now is at the time I'm making this video, I don't know if it's going to work. So cross your fingers and let's hope this works. So I'm going to be doing lost foam casting. If you're new to the channel, you don't know, I do this a lot. I use a piece of foam, I bury it in fine, dry sand, and I pour molten metal into it. So I'm going to bury this in some sand, light up my furnace, and try to cast this, and let's hope it works. But first, let me show you how I made the foam pattern. I made the pattern in a free program called Inkscape. I then loaded it into another program called GRBL. It might be called Gerbil Candle. I use this to carve the pattern out of polystyrene XPS foam. This foam I purchased from Home Depot in the United States. It comes in a 2 foot by 2 foot by 1 inch thick sheet. They do sell it in 8 by 4 foot sheets by 2 inches thick, but that's a little bit too big for my liking. Now that the pattern is carved out, it is now time to give it a good look and make sure it came out good. And it did. So now we're going to coat it with a coating of drywall mud mixed with water. For this one, I'm using a really watered down solution, and you can see how watery it is. The reason I did that is to really try to get it into the small nicks and crannies of the pattern. This is actually one coat, but I actually coated this 3 times, letting it dry for a few hours in between each coat. And now let's go melt some metal. So I'm going to start off the melt by just melting this piece of aluminum I have here. This is from a license plate topper that I made. I think I made it like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So if you haven't seen that video, definitely check it out. But other than this, I'm going to need some more aluminum. And I have all of this aluminum here from a greenhouse that blew over from a storm. So I'm going to throw some of this aluminum in with the melt. So recently I've been having a problem with the crucible sticking to the plinth block right there. So I'm going to use 2 pieces of cardboard instead of 1. I like to bury the patterns in the sand right after I light the furnace. This is so by the time I'm done burying this in sand and getting everything ready and organized, the metal is already melted. It only takes about 15 to 20 minutes to melt down that aluminum. So again, by the time I'm all finished with this, it's ready to be poured. Now I'm burying this foam in really dried out sand. It's pretty fine, it's just your ordinary sand. I actually found some clean looking sand on the ground and I sifted it real nice and fine and I let it dry out for a few days on my concrete. The concrete helps suck out any of the moisture. I don't normally do this, but this is the second time I'm doing it where I'm adding another pouring basin into the sand. This is because the pattern stuck up a little bit too high and I needed to kind of make it secure. I don't need the pouring cup falling over while I'm pouring the molten metal into it. So to make it secure, I'm adding sand in between both of those cans. And this will help lock it into place. All right, guys, it's been about probably about 35 minutes. I did another pour after this one. So let's cross our fingers like we did in the beginning and hope it came out. All right, guys, it is the following day. This is cooled off, and I am ready to clean this up. Now, from the looks of it, it looks like it came out really good. The only thing I don't like is the fact that the E did not come out. But I can tell that it's an E. Basically, that's the only thing that didn't come out as far as I can see. Now, I do want to show you right here. There's a little bit of roughness right here. Is some roughness, and same with up here. And I do believe those are the locations that I didn't have any plaster. So that is evidence that shows you that you really should use plaster. Because look at the back. I didn't use plaster on the back, and look how rough that is. Same with the sides. So that is why I use plaster, if you were still wondering. All right, so I'm going to put this in the vise, and I'm going to use my Dremel and a wire wheel and clean this up to get a better look at it. All right, guys, I think it cleaned up really nice. There's a couple low spots, and you could see it, you know, where I sanded. I sanded the car down to 800, but the exterior of the car, I sanded down basically to 400, starting at 180. And again, the foam isn't perfectly level, so when I carved it out, you're gonna get some low spots. It can be sanded down, but again, that just takes a lot more time to really get this perfectly flat. I like it. I love the way it looks. I actually like the parts around it that's not perfectly shined. The low spots just gives a little bit of like an antique look. So I'm really happy with this. So I hope he is too. But that's it for today's video, guys. I hope you liked it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, comment below, and let me know what you think, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.